Hi everyone, I'm Susan Mulvihill. Boy, is it hot in Spokane right now. For the last couple of days it's been over 100 degrees and today it's only supposed to get to 98. Whew! So I'm going to try to be really brief about this video, but I had some really important updates to give you. Let's talk about tomatoes first. In my last video, I talked about pruning back tomato plants, especially if you live in a short growing season like I do. I'm in zone 5B, and you have a whole lot of green tomatoes that you want to ripen. Now, what I did in the last video, so about a week or so ago, is I pruned back the rangy growth on the plants that had even little flowers that are not going to have enough time to turn into ripe tomatoes by the end of the season. So I want to do that again today. And for you, because you just saw the video a few days ago, I'd recommend maybe in about 4 or 5, 6 days, I would go ahead and do the same thing. Prune off the tops of your tomato plants, because even though you just pruned them a while ago, they're already sending out new growth. This one has some little flower buds on it. They're not going to ripen by the end of the season. The other thing that you'll want to do for this second step of pruning is to remove a few, well, they're technically branches, not leaves, but ones that are covering the tomatoes so they're not getting enough light for ripening. So I'm just going to go along and prune off some branches so that the tomatoes get more sunlight, and that will help them ripen. Be sure to prune carefully so you don't whack off one of these lovely tomatoes. And it'll seem a little drastic, but it really does make a big difference because plants do need that sunlight to finish ripening the tomatoes. So that's the next step. The other component to this step of pruning is to also cut back the amount of water your tomato beds are getting by about 50%. Now, on each of my raised beds, I have a valve, and I realize that's very unusual, but what I can do is to find 50%, I can close it completely and then go back about halfway, and that controls it so that there's less water going to the beds. Now, if you're hand watering your beds, give them less water than you have been. Or if you have a timer and you can change the time on the bed, that would work great. Look what I just found. One of our paste tomatoes is turning red, finally. And I wanted to let you know that after I shot last week's video, I started hearing from so many people all over the country saying, you know, my tomato plants did not produce well this year. The tomatoes that I do have are not turning red, and I'm really frustrated. Well, I totally get that. And I do feel like a lot of regions of this country have been dealing with unusual weather this year. And so they are really noticing it in their gardens because they're having less produce. So, you know, we just have to do the best we can. But with this 3-step pruning routine that I do, and again, today we're on step 2, I do feel quite confident that your tomatoes will start ripening. So hang in there, and you know, we're all in this together, and we'll do the best we can to get a great harvest. One more thing about tomatoes. So this is a grape tomato called Solano that I'm trying out, and it is an All-America Selections winner. And look at all of the tomatoes on it. Holy cow. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with all of them, but I certainly can add them into sauces and all kinds of dishes. But this is a pretty impressive tomato that's going to have a huge yield, so I just wanted to share it with you. 2 weeks ago, I planted cover crops in some of the empty beds in my garden. And the purpose of cover crops is to improve the soil. And so I did promise you that I would give you a little bit of an update to show you how they're doing. So you can see the plants are doing really well. This is a combination of buckwheat, rye, and winter peas. And I have bird netting over them because the birds in our garden would love to peck on them. So I'm going to let the plants grow a little bit taller before I take the netting off. But I just wanted you to see how they're doing. I also planted lettuce and sorrel in this bed recently, and you can see some of the seeds have sprouted already. And I'm looking forward to being able to start picking salad greens in the next few weeks. And I also planted turnips and carrots in this bed, and it's a little hard to see the carrots, but they're germinating really well, and the turnips are going nuts. Well, that's all for now because I need to get out of this heat. It is awful. But if you missed my video last week, you missed my big announcement, which is that I've written a new book. It's called The Vegetable Garden Pest Handbook. It's from Cool Springs Press and will officially be out in April 2021. But Amazon is already taking pre-orders for it. So I just wanted to let you know about it because I'm very excited. This is going to be such a great resource for vegetable gardeners, and all of the methods for controlling damaging insects are organic and very effective. So I hope you're excited about that. Now, remember to take care of yourself, stay cool. Remember to water all of your vegetables a little more in this heat, except for those tomatoes, of course. And also be sure to harvest your vegetables regularly so they keep producing till the end of the season. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. I'll see you next week. Happy gardening.